Hi guys, welcome back to Behind the Block once more. Today I would love to show you a little video on some of the tools that I use as a butcher. These are just going to be the hand tools, the very basic tools that we use, pretty much the essentials that you would need if you were trying some home butchery. I'll talk you through how we use them and why they're so important. First things first, I'm going to get the shop set up and then we'll jump into the video. Okay guys, so I'm going to run you through all of these hand tools that I have here. These are what we would tend to use on a daily basis working in a butchery, or if you're going to do some home butchery. You might not need all of these, but this is sort of the basic core range of tools that you would need if you like. So the first thing I would like to talk about is this, which is going to be the tool that does 80% of your work. A couple of different styles here. This is a boning knife. These are both 6 inches. This is straight backed and this one's a curved one. This is the one I prefer. This is a knife that's going to do, as I said, most of your work. You need to keep this really sharp. This is going to be used for predominantly taking the bones out of the animal, trimming down, dicing, anything like that. Quite a tool of finesse work, so a really important tool for you. This one here, as I said, is a 6-inch curved blade. This is the one that I favour. They do come in different sizes, 5 inches, 13 centimeters, all the way up to 8 inches if that's your sort of thing. I find that 6 inches just long enough for when you need that extra length, but it's not so long that when you're doing fine work, it's sort of difficult to use. It's a brilliant knife, this one. As I said, many different styles. I prefer this rosewood handle. That's just a personal preference thing. It's when you're using a knife all day, you want something that feels good in your hand. This for me just feels a little bit better. A lot of them now come with these rubberized plastic grips. They're meant to be anti-fatigue, so when you're holding your knife all day, it's meant to reduce fatigue on your hand. Personally, I don't like them as much. I prefer the wooden ones, but everyone's different. So that is the boning knife. Really important bit of kit there. Next up, this is a much bigger knife here. This is what we'd call a steak knife. This one's a 12-inch one. This one's going to be used for portioning predominantly. Large cuts, when you need that extra length as well. Maybe if you're breaking down beef into primals or sub-primals, you might need this. But it's a knife usually used for cutting steaks, cutting joints, cutting across a piece of meat where you need that extra length. This is a brilliant knife. I've had this knife probably 7 years now, and it's going to last me a lot longer than that. This is made by F. Dick. Don't know if you can see on the camera here. German brand, absolutely fantastic quality steel. If anything, it's better now than when I first got it. So easy to sharpen. It maintains a wicked sharp edge. It's a brilliant knife. This one I just got with the plastic ergo grip handle. They don't actually manufacture these ones with the wooden handles. But because you're not using it as much, this isn't a problem for me. I love it, it's brilliant. Great knife, 12-inch steak knife by F. Dick. One more heavy tool here. We've got a cleaver. Personally, I never use a cleaver anymore, although when I first started out, it was something that I was trained to use. This is a lovely one. It's a lovely example. It's got a lot of weight behind it. This is used for chopping, as you can imagine. The sharpness of this edge is not as important as it is on a knife, although this one is relatively sharp. This is about the weight of material in this. This is quite a hefty implement here, and it's probably about 2.5 to 3 kilos in weight. This is the part that you're going to use to strike, because this is the balance point of the tool. When I'm cutting chops, I just use my steak knife now. It's just something that I've learned to do over the years. But for a lot of people, a cleaver is an essential piece of kit. There you go. Next, not quite as essential a piece of kit, but it's something that I use every day. This is a scabbard. This is used for storing your knives on your person. You can see it's got a belt loop here, and you've got space in here for up to a 12-inch knife, which is ideal because it's what I use. And there's a little divider in there, if you can see. So bone-in knife and steak knife, perfect place to keep them. This just goes around your waist and sits on your hip. You never lose your knife that way. It's always on you. Nobody's picking up your knife because it's sharp and theirs isn't. It's excellent, easy to clean. This just removes, dishwasher safe, replaceable parts. Again, lasts for a long time. It's good, sturdy plastic, and yeah, that's going to last me a good number of years. Next, I'll talk about the bone saw here. This one is a very old example, but this is going to last forever. The only part that needs replaced is the blade itself, which is on a cam lock. So you can see that just removes there. That's a replaceable part, needs replaced every month or so. But the actual saw itself is good for a long, long time. This one's a 17.5-inch one. Professional grade, you can get up to 20 inch as well. Round at the factory, where all our carcass work is done, they have 20-inch saws round there. This, because we don't do a lot of carcass work or bigger butchery around here at the shop, 17.5 inches perfect. This is long enough to be trimming down ribs of beef or anything like that, legs of lamb, shoulders of lamb, anything that you need to saw. This is more than good enough. As I said, replaceable blade, easy to clean, easy to maintain. Nothing could really go wrong on it. Fabulous bit of kit. If you get yourself one, always remember when you're putting the blade in that the teeth point away from you. So that's the bone saw there. So here is stitching pin, as we call it. So this is for your butcher's twine. You thread it through here just like a needle and thread, and then this sharp point can go through the joint of meat, and you can take out the twine there and use it to roll up a joint. Not many people use these anymore. I still enjoy using it. I think it's good to keep some traditional skills, although we're quite a modern butchery here. I was trained in the traditional way. I do enjoy some of the more traditional techniques. So yeah, that's the stitching pin there. I'll quickly talk next on PPE. So all of our apprentices must wear chainmail gloves and chainmail aprons. So this is a glove that goes on the hand that you don't cut with. So if you nick or make a mistake, you're not going to cut your skin. This is going to just take the impact and keep your hand protected. Same with the apron. This goes underneath these aprons that we use. Same sort of material, the chainmail. If any knife was to cut towards you, as obviously we teach everyone not to do that, but mistakes happen, that's going to keep you protected. So they're quite essential. I don't use them. Back in the day when I was trained a long time ago, they were not compulsory. I have mixed feelings on them, but if you're just starting out for a bit of home butchery, I think it's a good idea to have one. They're relatively inexpensive, and it's just going to save you from making any nasty mistakes. I believe if you're a professional, well, it depends on your job really, doesn't it? If you're working in an abattoir where speed is everything, absolutely you should be wearing these. If you're a shop butcher, is it a bit different? I'm not sure whether it gives you a bit of a false sense of security and bad habits creep in, and the one time that you don't wear it, does that bad habit then lead to you cutting yourself? I'm not sure. I was never trained to use one, but they absolutely do have their place. So that's the chainmail apron on the PPE. And again on PPE, your hands take a real beating in this job. I try and look after my hands as much as I can, but you can probably see they're still a bit messed up. That's because you're washing them every 15 minutes. It dries them out. There's gripping all day. They take a real beating. So what I've found useful in the last few years is these nitrile gloves. I like the black ones, or blue ones are good as well, because if you snap anything into product, black or blue kind of stands out, so you can see any contamination in the products. But these are great. Obviously, the trap is that people think that these are much more hygienic than using your hands alone, and that's not necessarily true. You have to adhere to good hygiene practices with these. You still have to wash your hands every 10 to 15 minutes, or every time that you've handled something that requires hand washing. But if you're washing your hands with these gloves on, it's saving the chemicals from touching your skin. So they're really good in terms of looking after your hands. If you're just doing a bit of home butchery, I'm not sure that you need them. But if you're doing this day in, day out, they save your hands an awful lot of abuse. So that's the nitrile gloves again, black or blue, either stands out against product, so that they're quite handy. Finally, I'd just like to talk about keeping your knife sharp. So This right here is a sharpener. I'll talk about that after. But what we've got here is honing steel. Two different examples. So this is used to bring back the edge to your knife. If you've got a dull knife, these won't sharpen it. If your knife is completely blunt, these will not bring it back to life. If your knife is blunt, it needs reprofiled. These are not abrasive enough to reprofile a knife. This is just to roll the edge back to that point to keep it sharp. So, as I said, two different examples. This one is a flat one. The idea here is that you run your knife down on a 20-degree angle. First on this side, here on the flat side, and then on this outside side. This is a little bit more, a little bit less aggressive grit, should we call it, just like sandpaper. And that's going to roll that point back over. Great, absolutely, learn how to use one. It's a great skill to have. However, as both a professional or someone who would just like to get into a bit of home butchery, for me, this is by far the best option. This is a rapid steel. So here we've got the two ferrules, which is the equivalent of this. And the idea is that you run your knife down here and it maintains the angle for you. You don't have to do anything. I'll show you the idea with my knife here. So that's through, you pull that through, and that's maintaining, as you can see, that perfect angle all the way through. No training required. Anyone can use this within a couple of goes. You'll master the technique, and it's so much faster and more efficient than using the steel. This has its place, but for me, this is the better product. That'll bring the point of your knife back to a wicked sharp edge. So very essential pieces of kit. These can look totally different to this as well. There's round ones, there's short ones, there's much longer ones, there's all sorts of shapes and sizes. But that is the honing steel, an essential piece of kit. And finally, this is just a little machine that we use to resharpen dull knives. It's electric powered, very simple. It's belt driven, so this is the belt here. When you pull the trigger, the belt rotates. Right here we've got a 20-degree fixed angle on either side. As the belt's spinning, the knife gets pulled through. There's different levels of sandpaper on there. So you start with a more aggressive one, and then you work your way up the sandpapers. This one here is about 2000 grit, I believe. That'll reprofile the knife, and that will bring a completely dead knife back to life. So they are the main tools that we use on a day-to-day basis. Obviously they're just the hand tools. We have many heavy machines, heavy machinery that we use, electric powered mincers, sausage fillers, burger pressers, everything like that. But that's just a bit of an overview as to the hand tools that you might need should you think about maybe doing a bit of home butchery yourself. If you're a farmer and you'd like to give a go cutting up one of your own lambs, this is sort of the tools that you'll need. You probably wouldn't need them all, but certainly if you think the boning knife, the steak knife, honing steel and a bone saw, I think you're 90% of the way there with those tools. Well, there you go. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you found that interesting or useful. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the notes below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you've got any requests on a video that you'd like to see me make, then again, please leave it in the notes, and I shall try my best to make that for you. Until next time, take care.